Hey y'all, my name is Susan Sparks and I'm the senior pastor here at Madison Avenue Baptist Church in New York City. We are a diverse community brought together by faith. We hope that you enjoy our service today.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jenny Lindsay and I'm the soprano here at Madison Avenue Baptist Church. This morning, I would like to sing for you Guardian Angels by Georg Böhm. Sent his angels to lead us day by day, that we might all be peaceful as in his care we stay. The strength of God's own arm from heaven high he lends us, his grace alone he sends us, and wills for us no harm. We pass through life together with angel hosts to guide. We know that God will bless us and keep them by our side. So we remain with him wherever life may take us, for they will not forsake us, these glorious cherubim.
The title of my sermon today is, Who Knows What the Tide Could Bring In? So I don't know if it's because it's the dead of winter and it's cold and dark all the time, or if it's because Omicron seems to be everywhere, or if it's because I've been watching way too many episodes of Succession, which is not the lightest program on HBO. Whatever the reason, I've just been feeling a bit low during this start of 2022. I mean, I don't know, maybe you have too. It's like one of the great lines from the movie, It's a Wonderful Life. And if you have not seen that movie, you need to just turn this sermon off right now and then go watch it and come back. Because it's one of those movies that you need to watch before you leave this earth, okay? So if you haven't watched it, I'll tell a little bit, but go watch it, okay? It's about a guy named George Bailey, who's played by Jimmy Stewart, and he just can't get a break. And after life wears him down, he does reach a breaking point, and God steps in and saves him through a goofy wannabe guardian angel named Clarence. In the scene that I'm thinking of, God summons Clarence and tells him this: a man down on earth needs our help. And Clarence says, splendid. Is he sick? And God says, no, worse. He's discouraged. I think discouraged is just the right word to describe how a lot of us are feeling right now. I mean, it's the combination of the hours of darkness in the middle of the winter, that with the news and the COVID variants and the violence in the world and the global warming causing all these crazy winter storms and the anniversary of the storming of our Capitol. It's a really hard time right now. That's why I thought today we should turn to the psalmists, because Lord knows they know a little bit about going through a hard time. Our own Alicia Cardarella read Psalm 130 for us today, which is a very famous song that has inspired music from great composers like Bach and Mozart and Handel and Mendelssohn. It is part of what is known as the Songs of Ascent. 15 psalms, beginning with Psalm 120 and running all the way through Psalm 134, that were sung by pilgrims going up the hill to Jerusalem, which, as you know, is on a mountain. The pilgrims that were going up the hill to Jerusalem for the Jewish festivals. Thus the name Song of Ascent. Interestingly, the story arc of those 15 psalms is also an ascent, because it starts from a low place with Psalm 120 about distress, and then it moves through the other Psalms talking about gratitude and hope, and it ends on a high note all about praise and thanksgiving. In fact, it's a great devotional, if you're looking for one, to track those 15 Psalms. Again, Psalm 120 through Psalm 134. Our Psalm today falls right in the middle, Psalm 130. And it's so appropriate because its very first line even captures exactly what I think we're all feeling. Verse 1, out of the depths I cry to you, Lord. Hear my voice. Out of the depths I cry to you, O Lord, hear my voice. What makes this even more powerful, I think, is that the Hebrew word that is translated for depth is also a word used to describe deep mud in which you might get mired. I mean, that's what the world feels like to me right now. Just deep mud that we are mired in, the deep mud of discouragement that we are all mired in. But Psalm 130 doesn't stop there. It moves out of that deep mud of discouragement and goes on to talk about how I will wait for you, Lord. How I will hope in you, Lord. Which is my message today. God will rescue us from the mire, but we must have patience. And while we wait for that help, we must watch and we must keep hope. We must keep watch and we must keep hope. So let's talk about another movie. Let me offer you a movie version of Psalm 130. This movie is entitled Castaway, starring Tom Hanks, and I bet some of you have seen this movie as well. This is about a middle manager at UPS who survives a plane crash over the Pacific Ocean, ends up getting stranded on a desert island, and stays there for a couple of years. He goes through all manner of difficulty, including deep discouragement, until one day, while he was scanning the ocean waves from a high point on that island, he saw a large piece of metal that the tides had washed ashore. A piece of metal that was just big enough to form a sail. And so he built a raft, and he used that sail washed up on the beach to be rescued. That moment changed his life in more ways than one, for after he got home, he adopted a new mantra around that experience. He said, I know what I have to do now. I just every day have to keep breathing, because tomorrow the sun will rise, and who knows what the tide might bring. We must keep watch. We must keep hope, for who knows what the tide might bring. Let's look at this idea a little more. The first lesson here is that we must keep watch. You know, there's a great story in baseball about a Yankees broadcaster named Phil Rizzuto. One day, one of his colleagues looked at his scorecard in the booth and saw a notation, WW, and didn't understand what that meant. And he was like, Phil, what is this? And Phil replied, oh, wasn't watching. I mean, tell me that's not the story of our life these days. WW, wasn't watching. We're so overloaded with visual and audible stimulus in this life that we can't process it all. It's like our vision gets fogged over. You know, kind of like when you wear one of those masks with glasses that I know all about and your glasses fog up because the air's coming out of the mask. When you can't see clearly in life, you miss the miracles and gifts, the tide that life bring in. In the movie, for example, if Tom Hanks hadn't been watching, He would have missed that piece of metal that washed up on the shore and never been rescued. But let's put this in biblical terms. Think of all the things that would have been missed had people not been watching. What if, for example, Moses, WW, wasn't watching on Sinai, missed the burning bush, missed the 10 Commandments? What if the shepherds in the field weren't watching and they missed the star? What if Mary wasn't watching when she was in the tomb and missed Jesus? Let me ask you something. What gifts surround you right now that you haven't even noticed? What blessings are washing up on your shores that you have missed? Every day we must set aside time to clear the fog and keep watch, to be quiet, to scan the horizons around us, to see what the tide might bring in. As the American poet Henry Wadsworth Longfellow wrote, "All things come round to those who will but wait." We must keep watch, and we must keep hope. I mean, for without hope, we have no reason to watch. Verse 5 of our psalm today in Psalm 130, "I wait for the Lord. My soul waits, and in His word I hope." Hope can be a tough thing, especially right now with all we have going on. But once again, I think the tides offer us a great lesson. Think about when you sit and watch the ocean. Sit on a beach and watch the tides. It only takes a moment to notice the cycle to the waves. They ebb and they flow and they continue on, always changing. I think that's what makes it so meditative, so calming to sit on a beach, is that ebb and flow of the water, always changing, always in flux. I had a recent revelation about this myself on New Year's Day, 2022. As most of you know, I'm a big journaler. Journaler? Yeah, journaler. I think that's a word. I love to keep journals. Been for most of my life journaling. And I took time on New Year's Day, 2022, to go back and read the journals for 2021. And I was stunned at how much I had forgotten. Friends, and I kid you not, 99.9999999% of all the stuff that I was mad about, all the stuff I was worried about, all the stuff I was scared about, all the stuff I woke up in the middle of the night hand-wringing over, I had forgotten. I kid you not. I'd like turn a page and go, oh, right, that happened. I forgot about that. Stuff that was the biggest deal in the world, stuff that was big in the windshield, stuff, anything imaginable, I had forgotten. I mean, let me ask you this. What is keeping you up at night right now? What in your life is big in the windshield? Will you even remember this a year from now? Chances are the answer is probably no. I mean, these daily worries and fears and resentments and doubts, they are all things that block us from hope. But in fact, like the tides, these are also things that ebb and flow and continually change and move on. Let me put it to you in terms of the here and now. This week I was talking to my favorite doctor in the entire universe, Dr. Rhonda Pomerantz. Everybody should go see her. Actually, no, don't go see her, because then I probably won't be able to get an appointment, so never mind. But I love her. Anyway, I was whining to her about Omicron and the virus, blah, 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 on and on and on. And she had this kind of wonderful, thoughtful, grounded response. She said, yeah, we're in a pandemic, and yeah, it's bad. But Susan, you've got to have patience. There is a life cycle to a virus. That's what caught me when she said that. She goes, there's a life cycle to a virus. And even now we're seeing signs of it starting to wear down. Friends, like the tides, this virus shall pass. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not for a while, maybe not even completely, but it will ebb. And then the tide will usher in new gifts. This week I was working in the sanctuary writing the sermon, and I decided to take a break and walk towards the back, where most of you know we have a wall of all the ministers of this great church. And among the 174 years of leaders on that wall, my gaze fell on Dr. Charles Eaton, who pastored this church from 1909 to 1919, which meant he pastored MABC through the great pandemic of 1917. Like our virus today in 2022, that pandemic was an awful time with horrendous death numbers. But then the life cycle of that virus ebbed, and the tide started to bring in great gifts. Within a few years after 1917, when it hit, within a few years, the country was in the roaring 20s with a time of a surging economy and flappers and prohibition and the Harlem Renaissance and on, all these wonderful areas of growth. Within years of that great pandemic of 1917, Madison Avenue Baptist Church was going through one of its most profound times of growth with the building of the hotel and the renovation of the sanctuary. Now here we are 100 years later in another great pandemic, and yet, if we keep watch, if we keep hope, we will see what the tide brings in. For even now, there are signs that it is beginning to ebb, and there may be many gifts left in its wake. I think about the words of our New York Governor, Kathy Hochul, who said this week, "As we enter this new year, New York is due for a comeback, the likes of which this country has never seen. And we, together, are going to usher it in." I think about Madison Avenue Baptist Church and how we now are poised on the brink of a profound time of growth, just like back in 1917, on so many levels. One example being the growth of our global family. Members coming in from all over the world who joined us during this crisis and journey still with us to this day. Friends, the tide can ebb and flow, and great things can come from difficult times. It's like the words of our prayer today. When this ends, may we find that we have become more like the people we wanted to be. We were called to be. We hoped to be. And may we stay that way, better for each other because of the worst. So here's your homework today. This week, I want you to watch the tides. If you have access to YouTube, I want you to find a video of a tropical beach. And if you don't have access to YouTube, no worries. Just get a photo of a beach or an image of a beach, or tear something out of a magazine or the newspaper and just put it somewhere you can see it. Prop your phone or that image up on your desk or on your kitchen counter or wherever you are doing your work. And every once in a while, look up. Watch the tides. And remember that no matter what discouragement you may feel mired in right now, the tides ebb and flow, always changing. And who knows what the tide might bring. I'll leave you this morning with the words of author L.R. Nost. Life is amazing, and then it's awful, and then it's amazing again. And in between the amazing and awful, it's ordinary and mundane and routine. Breathe in the amazing. Hold on through the awful, and relax and exhale through the ordinary. That's just living. Heartbreaking, soul-healing, amazing, awful, ordinary life. And it's breathtakingly beautiful. And the people said, Amen.
Good morning, Madison Avenue Baptist Church. This is Richard Binder coming to you once again from a very sunny and very cold Astoria, Queens. I'm very pleased to sing this song for you this morning that I consider to be very much a prayer for the new year. It's by the band U2, and it is called Yahweh. Take these shoes, click-clacking down some dead-end street. Take these shoes and make them fit. Take this shirt, polyester white trash made in nowhere. Take this shirt and make it clean. Clean. Take this soul, stranded in some skin and bone. Take this soul and make it sing. Sing, Yahweh, Yahweh, always pain before a child is born. Yahweh, Yahweh, still I'm waiting for the dawn. Take these hands, teach them what to carry. Take these hands, Don't make a fist, no. Take this mouth, so quick to criticize. Take this mouth, give it a kiss. Yes, Yahweh, Yahweh, always pain before a child is born. Yahweh, Yahweh, still I'm waiting for the dawn. Still I'm waiting for the dawn. The sun's coming up. The sun is like a drop in the ocean. This love is like a drop in the ocean. This love is like a drop in the ocean. Oh. Take this city, the city should be shining on a hill. Take this city, if it be your will. What no man can own, no man can take. Take this heart, take this heart, take this heart, and make it break.
Thanks for joining us. Madison Avenue Baptist Church is located at 31st and Madison Avenue in New York City. Our website is www.mabcnyc.org.